Quais são as crianças que estão na vida na cidade australiana? As crianças vão falar aos repórteres do Fantástico sobre essa vida que aconteceu nessa cidade.
We all know we have an inner city, but who lives there? There are people who like living there are people who don't like living there, and there are some people who live there because there's nowhere else to live. Paul and Ryan like living in the inner city. I asked Paul whether he had lived in the city all his life.
Well, I haven't. I've lived out in the country up at Portland, which is near Lithgow. And living out there, didn't have as many friends, and, it just wasn't, I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same.
How long have you lived here?
A couple of years.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Why?
Most of your friends live around here, and lots of room to play around, and all that.
What about things like crowding and pollution? How does that affect you?
Well, after you've been down here for a long time, you don't actually seem to notice it. Like, people. They're just other people like yourself walking up and down the street. If they're not worried about it, why should you be?
What sort of things do you do after school in the city?
Watch TV for a while, and then I go up and do my homework.
Do you feel that you're not outdoors enough?
Well, I've been outdoors for the whole day. I catch a bus from King's Cross out to Taylor Square and then out to Sydney High. Well, I've been there for a whole day, well, practically a whole day, and then I just come home and I just feel bushed, and I can't bother going outside.
Would you prefer to live in the country?
Nah.
Why not?
Not very much people to play with there. It'll only just be you and your brother.
Flam and Lake are twins. They also live in the inner city, but they'd prefer to live in the country. You have been to the country, have you?
Yes. But it's much more quieter in the country.
Do you like it?
City.
Do you like the quiet in the country?
Yes.
Do you dislike the noise in the city?
Yes.
Would you like to go and live in the country?
Yes.
You'd like to go out there and live there with a garden. Have you got a garden here?
Yes.
How big garden?
Not a very big garden.
Small one, isn't it?
Mm,
You said you had a banana tree.
Yes, we do. It's a big banana tree, but a small garden.
And do you think the banana tree will grow any bananas?
I don't know.
Do you live in a house?
Yes.
Do you like living in that house?
I don't like the landlord, but I do like the house.
Why don't you like the landlord?
Because he's trying to get us to move out.
Why?
I don't know why, but he's saying that somebody's going to move in.
Are you allowed out on the streets by yourself?
Yes, but only if we're going to friends' houses or if we're going to play not on the road.
Mm.
But we have to tell our mummy where we're going before we go there.
Because it's quite dangerous with a lot of cars, isn't it?
Anyway, not many cars come up our little lane.
E agora vamos ao bloco das notícias do domingo no Fantástico. O casal real comemora 32 anos de casados na Inglaterra. Os repórteres do Fantástico, o show da cultura vão mostrar.
At this stage, the security officials asked the royal couple to keep walking more quickly. The crowd was growing too large and the barriers weren't holding. All the same, the Prince and Princess decided not to ride the rest of the way to the town hall in the Rolls as planned and continued their kilometre-long walk at a fairly brisk pace. Inside the town hall, the welcome took on a more formal tone. But outside, the general populace of Brisbane still hadn't seen enough. Prince Charles light-heartedly remarked his mother had warned him about these Brisbane welcomes. Both he and his wife still seemed a little overpowered by it all.
And we cannot possibly thank you, all the citizens of Brisbane, enough for turning out on such a hot day and giving us such an incredible welcome here.
The civic reception lasted an hour. Then it was off to Government House where they'll stay overnight. Later in the afternoon, Prince Charles set off by himself to open a new complex at the Eventide Aged People's Home at Sandgate, where Gail Campbell takes up the story.
The ceremony was one of Prince Charles' official duties during his tour of Queensland. The Prince arrived at Eventide about 15 minutes late, later apologised for the delay.
I'm sorry that I arrived late this afternoon. I did, however, leave on time. So there must have been a miscalculation somewhere along the way.
Later, the Prince said he hoped the Eventide complex allowed young people access to its residents. He said it was important for younger people to benefit from the experience of the age. Then the plaque was unveiled to officially open Stage 2 of the redevelopment, and it was off for a tour of the new facility. Prince Charles spent about 20 minutes inspecting the new accommodation and chatting to residents. Prince William may not have accompanied the royal couple to Queensland, but he wasn't forgotten by the residents. Prince Charles was presented with a set of Australian books for his son. Tomorrow, the royal couple leave Brisbane for a tour of the Sunshine Coast. Gail Campbell, National 9 News.
A sessão econômica no plenário da Austrália é o Você Vai Ver na reportagem do Fantástico.
The 240 summiteers arrived at Parliament House simultaneously with more evidence that the long drought is finally beginning to break. As the nation's political, business and union leadership made its collective way into the House of Representatives to begin the scheduled 26 hours of debate, the machinery of what unarguably ranks as one of the most important gatherings since Federation finally got underway. Prime Minister Hawke struck the keynote. The summit must reach agreement on ways of achieving national recovery and growth. Specifically, he said, business and unions must recognise the need for agreement on wage fixation, the control of non-wage incomes and price surveillance.
It will mean a recognition and acceptance of restraint by all sections of the community. It must mean a recognition, a sense of realism of what can be achieved in the near future. We must all understand that there are no miracle cures. There are no overnight solutions. It calls for a sustained, concerted national effort. And in that sense, this conference is only a beginning.
The day's first hardline stance came from Don Hughes, president of the big business umbrella organisation, the Confederation of Australian Industry. He warned bluntly against any moves to bring back wage indexation.
Any increase in labour costs will further reduce profitability and reduce the number of jobs which can be supported by the private sector.
Significantly, ACTU President Cliff Dolan doesn't see that as an insurmountable problem. His speech was to diffuse areas of potential conflict. He says unions won't insist on a rigid system of total prices control, and there won't be demands for an immediate return to wage indexation.
We believe that the maintenance of real wages is the key objective, although we accept that in a period of economic crisis, as is now applying, that this will be an objective over time.
Uma música romântica foi feita pelo cantor americano George Benson. Os apaixonados americanos vão perceber isso. O Fantástico vai acompanhar um número musical romântico ao som de uma música romântica com o cantor americano George.
Daqui a pouco, a reportagem final sobre o combate do pente largo na Austrália. Tinha que ser o Fantástico.